Evanston Preservation Commission to order. We have a quorum of all 9 of us tonight. It is 7 o'clock. The City of Evanston's Preservation Ordinance empowers this body to safeguard our community's historic, cultural, and architectural heritage. The Commission encourages public participation and affords due process through public hearings on proposed landmark designations and applications for certificates of appropriateness. The ordinance requires commissioners to apply specific review standards and includes the ability to consider economic hardship and special merit as needed. We ask that all members of the public, as well as the applicants present, be respectful of tonight's proceedings and adopt the decorum necessary to facilitate impartial discussion and debate. We ask anyone who wishes to address the commission to sign in and indicate the discussion item, designation, or application to be addressed. The first order of business tonight will be public comment on items listed under discussion on the meeting agenda. For new and old business, the chair of the commission will ask staff to read each case into the record. Once a case has been read into the record, the applicant presents an overview of the proposal, including evidence and testimony that support the applicable standards being met. The commissioners will then ask questions of the applicant. Following the questioning period, members of the public may speak toward the application, keeping their comments to 3 minutes or less. Following public comment, the applicant will have the opportunity to rebut any evidence or testimony against the application as it relates to the standards for review. After all parties have had a final opportunity to make objections or corrections, the commission closes the record and proceeds to a motion and deliberation of the proposal. A simple majority of the quorum present is required for a motion to carry, and tonight that is 5. So, the first order of business is public comment on discussion. Is there anyone here? Seeing none, we'll proceed to new business, 2146 Asbury Avenue. If you could please read it into the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair. New business, 2146 Asbury Avenue. It's a landmark building, case number 23, press-0046. Safiro Papastratakos, applicant, submit for a certificate of appropriateness to replace 33 existing windows with Pella or Marvin architectural series clad wood windows and aluminum screens to match the style and look of the original windows. 4 windows and 1 rear door will be demolished or removed, and 2 rear doors and 5 windows added. The original wood front door and screen will remain. Existing windows and rear doors will be replaced to meet egress requirements, basement and second floor. Exterior wood stairs at the rear rise from the ground to the first and second stories. The applicable standards, alteration 1 through 10, construction 1, 6, 7, 10, 12, and 15.
Okay,
Can the applicant come in front of the dais, please? And also make sure you sign. And state your name.
Hello, my name is Zafiro Papastratakos. Should I introduce you to the project?
Yes, so in front of, to yours is the application, and we can start there, and you tell me that's the same format you sent me earlier. So these are the floor plans, and you can see, as you move forward, you tell me where you want to go for the presentation.
I think the easiest thing is to start with the elevation, go down there. So with this home, the majority of the windows have been already replaced with Climate Guard vinyl type windows. The original storm windows were wooden, were replaced with triple track sort of light aluminum screens. And so the look of the fenestrations is not original, with exception to...
No, excuse me. You had to
Sorry.
stay. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
You need
If
to
you
stay
would-
there because otherwise no one's going to hear. Let me see if there's a pointer there. But I'm not sure.
learning.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Let's see. So, that's the pointer.
Okay.
There you go. The one.
Thank you. The only original things here that, from the street look original, are the door with the storm and the original wood door, this window, and those two will remain. All of the cladding, the trim, the roof, everything will remain. These sort of details, everything remains. These windows will be replaced with windows that look exactly like those. They are sized to fit in that specific opening. Similarly, this will be replaced with the window, all of the windows will be replaced with windows that are exactly as the originals, with exception to the basement, and that's for the purposes of egress. Okay, you can hear me, but you couldn't record me. Are we good now? Okay, so from the front, this house isn't going to look much different, except it'll look closer to the original, because these will look closer to what the originals looked like. The wood-clad windows that we are replacing these Climate Guard windows with, we'll get rid of the triple track aluminum that is a later add-on, and the windows will be sized to fit so that their profile, all elements of it are meant to mimic the originals. If you go down to the next drawing or picture, that's the side elevation. This window here,
You want that one or this one?
up, yeah, this is visible from the street. Because of the proximity of the neighboring house, you don't really see much of that bay or much of the rest of the home. But you do glance that if you're driving by. That will remain. That's an original window, original storms. That will remain. Wherever we have windows that are in a condition where we can keep them, we definitely do. And so here is where we have an egress requirement. In the basement windows, these need to be replaced. They are rotted from the interior. They are not in a condition to be able to be reconstructed. And so we have to replace them. But then the basement is currently, or before it was purchased, was a living space, and it didn't have egress. In order to provide egress to code, we're going to replace the awning window that's here with a a pair of double hungs, so that it mimics what you see on an upper story here. And these are a pair of windows. They're not double hung, but these are. And so with the egress, we did a very similar thing so that the house is consistent in look. What we've changed is interlaced with what is there. If we go down, now this, in the back, we will be adding an egress stairway. We propose to add an egress stairway. What's visible from the street, and you could see this when we go further down, what's visible from the alley to the north, Leonard Place to the south, Wesley to the west, is this part of the home. This part is not really visible, mostly because of houses that are in the way, sometimes because of fences or trees, but almost always because of houses. So you could see the top portion of this. And with what we're proposing, this fenestration will go, this window will go, but in its place will be a door that looks similar to this door. It can't be exactly like this rear door because it wouldn't meet code. You have to have a fire-rated door, and if you were going to have a glass in a fire-rated door of that size, it would be extremely expensive. And so we will mimic the profile of this in this door. And so when you're looking at this house from the only places that it's visible, you're going to see something that's similar to what you would typically see in a house of this style, which is a fenestration below the middle of the gable. It's a little bit off from the middle, but this is where you would typically see an opening. These windows, this is existing, that's that window right there. And because of the interior layout of the home, we've moved this window there so that they are a pair similar to what you see on the second story. The door that is being removed here and the window that's being removed here are not visible from the right-of-way. We can go down another one. So I guess I'm trying to just let you know that in every way possible, our intention is to keep the home looking historically as it was, but make it functional for today's needs. This part of the house is really not visible at all because the house to the north is a little bit further, it's closer to the street, so you can't really see that side elevation. In any event, all of the windows there are just being replaced in kind. We're removing these two, which are not visible from any public right-of-way, and the windows in the basement are again egress windows. Rather than have the transom windows that are existing, each of these is an egress window, and there are a pair of windows to mimic the pair of windows that's under the dormer. This is not visible from the front at all. And so it's only the top portion of it that is visible from the right-of-way to the south, to the north, and to the west. But all of the other elements, the siding, the roof, the trim around the windows, wherever we're removing, we're keeping, salvaging all of the materials so that we could reuse it in any place else around the house so that we retain the original materials.
You want to go to the detail of the windows, or you're done with the presentation?
I can if you like. Okay, you'd like. Here you would see the existing and the proposed. In profile, the proposed is very similar to the existing as much as you can match it and keep thermal windows. So the size of the top rail, the bottom rail, do you call that the style, the middle rail?
That's the median rail.
The middle
The median
rail?
rail is the horizontal.
Okay. So each of these is going to be matched in size with a replacement, and the profile will be matched as well. The glass itself will be thicker than the original naturally, but other than that, from appearance from the street, it will look as it did before as much as possible. These are the transom, or no, that's window C. It's got to be because there's no change. That's a hopper in the living room that you can see from Asbury. And both the hopper and its storm are in very nice condition, so those remain. These are the basement windows. Where we are replacing the basement hoppers in the exact location, the window again will match the original as much as possible in operation, in profile, in all of its features, but with thermal pane. The existing windows, these new windows will health-wise be much better for the home. They won't allow a kind of water penetration. They won't, they'll keep the performance of the home far better. Right now, the windows that are there are not able to do that. And if you scroll down a bit, you can see how the muntins would be replicated in the newer style window that was in the previous image. that axonometric section just gives you an idea of the profile of the replacement window.
Do you want to go over the photos, or you feel like you have enough, or the commissioners would like to see more?
If you would like me to, I'm happy to. We can go through and you can scroll through the photos, exterior and interior. The bottom where you see a C is the ones we'll be keeping.
So these show the exterior and interiors of the same window pair, right? Those photos?
Right, so this is the exterior, that's the interior. Same here, you have to scroll down probably to see which window that lower one is. Yes, they're all keyed in to the plans that are on previous pages. Exterior, interior. Many of these are Climate Guard. Some are originals, and those we could not replace, the cost of replacement, and the members of them were just not in a condition to be able to do that. These
Maybe-
are windows on the north facade that is not visible from the street. These are the storms on the outside, and that's the window on the inside. And these are the basement windows. We took a couple out to test them, and they were just rotted on the interior. But we will be replicating the style of them, except where we have the egress windows. And then if you go further down, you can see I've gone around the block and photographed the house from all around the block so that you can tell what is visible from the street. That's the front door that will stay, along with the storm that will stay.
I don't think I have more photographs after that. Maybe
Oh,
here.
there they are. Right. What happened to the photos showing images from the street?
This is the last file I got from you.
It's
Yeah.
page A6.0.
This is the one that you sent last. This is what I put on the.
Is it possible that I can forward the image I'm looking at now to put it on the screen, or that's not possible?
Let's see. Let me think about this.
Because this is what I attached to the email, but maybe it got lost somewhere.
Yeah, there's so many versions. I got the last one from you that I put on the packet.
Okay.
Let's see if I can go to my own account.
Yeah, because this is from the email that I sent on Wednesday of,
Should we see if any commissioners have any concerns about that first before we?
That's what I was
Okay.
about to say.
Thank you.
So, would that have been the end of your presentation? I don't want to cut you off, because we can start asking you questions.
are there more things I should say this, I'm new at this? So if there's things that you think I should say or you want to hear about that I can tell you about, I'm happy to.
Sure, let's go ahead and ask some questions. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
No, I think you've done the extensive documentation is great. Just to see each photo. My particular question I have is on, I guess, what page is this? 24, the window G, I think has those old storm windows that are wood, right, with the oval vent at the bottom.
That's right.
Is that going to be retained or,
We did not intend to retain that because the windows themselves are in not great condition. We were going to use a storm window that's a modern, well, actually a screen window, because the modern windows don't really require a storm. Those are on the north facade, the style G, and that's the one that's not visible from the street.
all right.
Others?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you presented very well, and
Thank you.
and the documentation of the existing windows was excellent, like one of the best we've seen in paper. Just a couple questions. The new windows, are they going to be custom sized to fit snugly right inside the existing wood trim on the outside?
Yes.
Okay. And the new rear door, I'm not concerned about it matching anything, but I just want to have an idea that it's sensitive to the home. Do you have, can you describe that to us?
There's an elevation on that same set of drawings. I'd love to be able to forward that to you. So the existing, I wish I could draw it. The existing door has the glass that has lights, 4 lights, and then it has those 3 panels
Okay.
below it.
So-
And so rather than have the lights, because the door needs to be fire rated, we'll just replicate those panels. So the door itself has 1, 2, 3 panels, and then the 4 lights. That's what we're going to replicate. It'll not be a flat door with lines. It'll have a profile.
Oh.
And that's in the documentation, but somehow it got missed.
Okay, so 3 recessed panels low, and then instead of the glass with the 4 lights, it'll be like 4 wood,
Just another recessed panel.
one big panel.
Instead of that, I think that would look awkward. I just did 4 of the same
Or
types
little,
of
okay,
panels.
just
because
like the
that would-
glass. You just replace the solid material, excuse me, the glass material of the existing one with something solid in the new.
Yes, I'd
Okay.
replace it with something solid, but I altered the design of the new one because you would never find just a big blank square and then 4 rectangles. Or 3 rectangles. You would find 4 rectangles that are the same. So that's what I did.
Okay.
But if you think that there's another design that would be more consistent with the cottage style, I'm all ears.
No, I think that sounds fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've already,
Hi, Stuart.
Hi. You've already been complimented on the presentation. I'd like to compliment you on the way in which you've added and in some cases closed up windows. I think that they work well with the windows that are the openings that are existing and the composition of those openings. I confess that when these presentations come, I look first at the drawings, and I may have missed it in the narrative description, but since we don't ask for floor plans, could you explain the stair that's being added onto the back and what necessitates that? The house is not being turned into a 2-flat, is it? Or is it existing?
It's an existing 2-flat,
Okay,
and we're adding an
okay.
ADU in the
Bad.
basement. The basement, prior to David purchasing the home, had been used as a separate rental in the basement, but it wasn't legal. It didn't have egress.
yeah, the egress windows.
And so in designing the space, there is a floor plan.
Yeah, I apologize, Carol.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You want me to
I
go to
missed
the
it.
floor plans?
So, all I can say that, I mean, the railing on the stair looks compatible with the railing at the front of the house. I hope you will paint the stair.
Yes, but we're
rather
going to
than
wait a
leaving
year
it
because the
raw
wood
wood.
has to season.
Yeah,
And so then we would match the colors of the home and the style would match. It's going to look a little different because the front railing isn't 36 inches tall. But in every way that we can, we'll mimic both the color and definitely the style.
okay, nice job.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, does anyone have a motion?
Before we have a motion, I mean, I know it's nitpicky, but just those storms, since they seem like they're in good condition, and since you're not going to be potentially reusing them for your project, if they could be sent to like the rebuilder's warehouse or something instead of going to the landfill, they seem like they're in good condition, and someone
Definitely.
at some other house might, have historic windows that they might, it might fit their project better, so.
Anything that we can salvage, I think,
Please state your name, please.
Sorry, hi. Did you sign in?
No. I can't
Okay,
do that.
just go ahead and do
So
that.
David Giljohan, I'm the owner. So yes, on the inside, we're trying to do a historical renovation. So all the woodwork was taken out to be refinished, so all the paint's being stripped out and refinished. And anything that was taken out that was of historical nature, for example, the clawfoot tubs, some of the doors, et cetera, were already sent to the rebuilding warehouse. They came and picked them up. So we'll do that same with the storms.
I'd be happy to make a motion, if you'd like. Yeah. I move that we grant a certificate of appropriateness to 2146 Asbury Avenue, 23 Pres 0046, to replace 33 existing windows with Pella or Marvin Architects Series clad windows, and aluminum screens. I'm confused. I thought you said we weren't going to have aluminum screens because they're Thermopane SDLs.
Would the applicant like are you stopping, Stuart, to
Oh,
ask a question?
It doesn't matter. Screens to match the style and the look of the original windows. 4 windows and 1 rear door to be demolished, and 2 rear doors and 5 windows added. The original wood front door and screen will remain. Existing windows and rear doors will be replaced to meet egress requirements for the basement and second floor. Exterior wood stairs at the rear rise from the ground to the first and second stories. Applicable standards: alteration 1 through 10, construction 1, 6, 7, 10, 12, and 15.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the meeting minutes. Does anyone have anything to add to the meeting minutes?
I did not receive any comments, but I don't know if there's more or any tonight.
Comments? Any comments, Carl? Should we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 14, 2023 minutes.
All right.
Second.
It's seconded by Stuart. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I have to abstain because I was not present. Okay. Moving on to item number 5, discussion, no vote will be taken. A is the draft heritage design manual update. City staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the last time I had the opportunity to work with the subcommittee was last year, towards the end of the year, where they submitted a number of comments to the draft that I presented to them. Originally, we were working section by section, but there was a point where the subcommittee asked me to complete the document. So I did that, and I sent it to them, and they had comments, which I addressed. Then I shared that with my director, or the manager for our division, Liz Williams, and we decided to hold on that because she felt that the document was not ready yet. So what we're going to do, she and I will work on it and come back to you with a document that will address some of the concerns that we read from the comments. I think that we're trying to figure out who is going to benefit. The document is for the applicant, for the homeowner, for the architect, and it's not another thing that the commission needs to administer. It's more something that we will provide to whoever wants to engage in any preservation work in the historic district landmark. Some of the information that I already provided in the document would not be discarded, or most of it would be used. We just need to have a better format for it. So instead of coming to you with something that perhaps still needs more work, we are putting the brakes on it. We'll come back. We probably ask the subcommittee, which is Stuart and Jamie, and also Julie, if they would like to continue or not, but obviously we want to send out a request, whoever would like to participate with the effort. And we will have a timeline where we want to finish this project as soon as possible, but we want to have it in a good presentation for the public. And again, it's somewhat technical, and we're trying to avoid that. The other one that was difficult was to have examples that illustrate what we're trying to say. And one of the things that I found is that some of the photos I was able to include explain what was what we call the preferred step, but the project itself was not necessarily the best project. But it's like, for instance, talk about what they call the hyphen, or the link between the old historic building and a new building. The National Park Service refers that as a hyphen, where you separate the two. And I was trying to illustrate that, not that the new building was a good example. And that's the type of comments I need to kind of sort out, because maybe there isn't a good example in Evanston. We have to use some other examples, perhaps from the National Park Service. So there's been progress. It's just that we as staff don't feel that we're ready to present this to the commission, but we will work on it. And we will engage the commission to the point where everybody can participate and provide their comments. Again, the idea is that it would be friendly to the user. It is not something that my office or commission would administer. It's just for them to know what to do. If, for instance, they wanted to do the work they've done, they call me and they ask, what about this, what about that? So that's what this document is going to address. And we're going to try to go through the most significant or the most common type of projects, like window replacement, additions, and construction, and garages. Those are the most common ones. There are others in between that perhaps we will not catch, but I think the bulk of it will be very useful for not only us to have better applications, it's for the applicants to have information they can use. So, for instance, another aspect of the document kind of talk about the standards for review, and it's difficult to apply the standards for review for every single type of work, so you have to kind of be very selective. And at the same time, you don't want to get stuck just in the standard, but you want to talk about how to avoid, for instance, that the windows become deteriorated. That could be maintenance rather than let them go. And then we hear many times, the windows are old, they have not been maintained, or drafty. And that's something that we can talk about in the document, how to maintain different aspects of a building, from windows, doors, roof, and so on. So we're trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So that's the update I want to provide to the commission today.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I just,
Comments?
well, not specifically about that. I just wanted our guests to know they're not required to stay unless you're interested in this. We could go for hours here.
That was the moment when the public comment.
The staff person who was going to make that presentation is not here. Yeah.
I just want to thank as well Carlos and his city staff for helping us walk through the process. This is our first time going through the COA process, and really appreciate the help that his team gave us in order to make a good application. So thank you.
Well, thank you for actually being so responsive to all the things we discussed. And I apologize about the photographs. There are so many documents. I literally put the last email with the documents, and I thought that was the one.
Okay.
So it was not
you.
intended to make you feel bad. Anyway, thank you so much. Good night.
Did anyone have any questions about the design manual? All right. The Preservation Commission, Preservation Commission subcommittees. I'll just mention that we had this idea to have the rotating committee, and I thought that that worked okay this time around, so we thought we would give you all an opportunity to sign up. So that's what Carlos sent around, and I hope it's clickable, where you can just click on it and go in and put your name in there, as opposed to something that you have to send back and forth and use his time. So I think that at least one person has already done that. So if you want to pop in there and just say what months. Is everyone still interested in this idea of an architect / technical person and a non-architect / non-architectural, non-technical person kind of working together on that? All right. Right, because the sign-up sheet right now is not laid out exactly like that. So what we could do, if you would prefer, well, just, maybe have a look at the sign-up sheet and see what you think, if there's a way to indicate, so that we make sure that we have the right combination of people for each meeting. Maybe we have, one from Group A and one from Group B or something like that. So it's a work in progress, these sign-ups. But if it is something that we like, we can continue doing it that way.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to mention, next Tuesday is the deadline for the next month project, so that we need to have people sign up for next time. So please look at a table and you will see the dates, or the months actually. And then I think that if we have Sarah there all the time, so she's across, so there will be 3 people. And my request would be that take a look and see if you could sign for the next month. Right now, I think it's open, two seats. So that would be good. And then take a look at the rest of the year, because eventually we're going to rotate. So maybe after 3 or 4 months, then you can do it again, or as frequently as you can. So there's 2 sheets. That one is the one that's by itself. It goes by month. The second sign-up sheet has the 2 other subcommittees, and I'm expecting and hopeful that there will be maybe an even number if possible. So we have currently 9 members, maybe 5 in one and 4 in the other. And as we add more people to the commission, hopefully this year, we can ask the new commissioners to put their names as one of the committees.
So
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so these are the 2 committees. Education advocacy is one, and diversity, equity, inclusion is the other, that were part of the rules and procedures that was voted in last time around. So I believe my understanding was that education and advocacy was going to start with newsletter kinds of activities, and helping Cade get the newsletter up and running for the commission. And then the diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's a variety of things, tasks that committee could do, but my understanding was that we were going to start, by attempting to get some new members to replace the folks that are leaving, and to build us up a little bit, that have a little bit more, bring a range of life experiences to our conversation. So that was, I understood to be one of the first tasks for that committee, in case any of you all are interested in knowing what the tasks are when you're signing up for it. Obviously, the committee can decide what you want to do, but that was my understanding of it when we put those together.
So when you're considering your participation, look at the Plan 2040 that is listing all the things that every committee is signed up to do. And Kate made an interesting table where you have the ones that are already happening, or short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So this is a living document, so we're trying to make it work for not only the commission, but also for the citizens, and they see the work of the commission. One of the things that Kate did and presented last month was the report that is going to the Planning and Development Committee of the City Council, and I thought that was a very well written. It had a lot of good information, and very useful for the commission to look and see the accomplishments, especially the last 2 years, where we were even under pandemic, and it's still, this commission was very efficient. So those are the things that we are trying to encourage you to get more involved as much as you can. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. How many people are going to be on these subcommittees? Because I was just thinking about the Open Meetings Act, and like, if we get together and it's more than 3, then we have to like
We
have
can-
it
we
public, or
we
just
try,
wondering how that's going to work.
we should limit it to 3 because that would not make it into a public meeting. So this is like a working meeting. And right now, they are sending their comments, and what I need to do next is share those comments and see if there's some discussion, but it's not going to be a physical or even Zoom meeting.
Were you asking about the Education and Advocacy and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion committees? Yeah. So the pre-review committee is going to be 3, but the other ones also are going to be 3? Is that what the idea was? And this is
No.
new for us, right?
So, may I add?
Go ahead.
Because the long-range plan subcommittee that was, the group that was putting together the long-range plan sometimes did number more than 4 or 5 people. And then in that case, it just was noticed on the city calendar as a meeting, to comply with the Open Meetings Act. I mean, the public was allowed to come if they wanted to. We never really had anyone from the public come. But, I mean, I don't think we should limit ourselves, to 3 on these committees, because I do think that they are issues that, I mean, if we have 5 people that want to be on them, we shouldn't say no. I mean, I think that just to comply with the Open Meetings Act, we just put it on the city calendar, and, I mean, if someone comes and they really want something to value, good. I mean, they might have something valuable to say, but I don't think we should limit to 3.
Yeah, I apologize. I misunderstood, Amanda, your question. I thought you were talking about still about the, but yes, that's true. We can have more than 3, so we have to advertise that there's a meeting so people can participate. So,
Yeah,
so it shouldn't limit people from signing.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just, if that's the case and there are more than 5 and we advertise them, and I know no one ever has come, but if they do, like if there's just some like, I don't know how those meetings work. I mean, I just could see the DEI one maybe getting people to come. I mean, it's kind of can be a hot button issue in Evanston. I'm not saying it would happen, but like, I would want to know how to handle that before it happens. If there's like like if they have a, similar to here, like you have a couple minutes and we'll hear your feedback, or, you know what I mean? I just would like to be prepped on that personally. If I was sitting on a DEI meeting and people showed up, I would want to know how to handle that.
Sure, and if we're going to have a public meeting, then there will be an agenda as well. So that the group has to decide what they want to discuss, and that will be placed on the notice.
So one thing you could do is just have a think about what you're interested in and put some names on there, and if it gets to be more than 3 or 4, whatever the cutoff happens to be at that moment, then we can address it at that time.
Okay. And I appreciate your questions, because it really puts me in alert to be ready for the situation like that.
Another thing that another thing I was considering is the Economic Development Committee created a working group for the Legacy Business Group, for the Legacy Business Program, and I think that has 5 people on it as well. And I wonder if the classification as a working group instead of if there's like a difference between working group and subcommittee. I know we're getting into the weeds, but but I'm just like what Amanda said. But I wonder if a working group allows for more lenience.
Well, we can look into that. The subcommittees are already created now as part of the rules and procedures. So anyway, if we want to just think about how if any of you have interest and time to give to those things. Did anyone else have any comments about the subcommittees? All right. So then the next order of business is the reports of committee and city staff, committees and city staff. I understood, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought of a question.
Yeah, go
after
ahead.
we moved on. Are the subcommittees, how long, is it 1 year? Like if we sign up, is it?
So that's a good question, and I don't remember if we said that in the rules and procedures when we created them, but I was assuming it was for a calendar year. I don't know why I was assuming that.
Looking at the, in here.
Although presumably, if you're interested, you could keep going.
Yeah. I don't think there's statutes or limitation here. But usually, I'm familiar with, like, for the associate members, it would be yearly. That was for associate members who are former commissioners who are not voting members, and they will apply, and the commission will appoint those people, and they will apply every year just to renew their membership. I believe that you can continue being a member of that committee unless somebody else wants to, be included, right? Or if your term expires, then somebody else hopefully will.
I'm not sure if there's minimums or maximums. But if we decide we should have that, then we can put that in the rules and procedures going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rules, the Article 3 committees, and that's in state,
I don't think this says anything about time.
yeah. Well, we can investigate more.
All good questions. Anything else on this section? All right, for the reports of committees and city staff, I understood that this was going to be what Kate was going to talk about. But I can just let you know, or remind you if you already know, that the Preservation Commission annual report will be presented to the Planning and Development Committee on April 24th. And it's going to be Kate and me. I'll be there too. So it's going to be kind of a joint presentation of the two of us taking questions and stuff. So you all are welcome to come or watch it on YouTube or whatever, but it's on April 24th.
Is it an evening meeting?
Yeah.
It's a city council meeting.
Yeah, they meet right before council, like at 5:30, something like that.
We need to confirm that date.
Okay.
That's the intent.
Okay.
It depends on also the council schedule.
Okay.
But definitely, we want to choose a date when they have the time and the ears to listen to
Yeah.
the presentation rather than that. So
That was the last thing that I heard. And since I'm going to be one of the presenters, I would be happy to know if it changes. And then for the second one was just the letter that Cade circulated, but I think that when he comes at the next meeting, we should let him talk about that.
Okay, so what Kate told me is that if you have any, you could adopt that or approve it if you wish, or if you have questions, you can amend that. But if you prefer that he will be present next month, that's your call, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I think he was. Does anyone object to waiting until he's here? He was the one that was kind of pushing it forward, unless there's a timing issue that we need to have it soon.
Are there any actions coming up outside of this commission? but
Not
any-
as far as I know.
I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, okay, then yeah, might as well.
He said that he did get comments from everyone, so I think it's just a matter of sort of bringing it all together and letting him give us a sense of what the next steps are.
Could I comment on something that's, the letter is well written. I'm not, I'm not objecting to anything in there, but there's some content that's kind of part of a bigger conversation about our role in this. Is that appropriate to discuss now, just so everybody can start to think about that if they want? And then the other thing is, we did tell those folks that Cade was not here. I don't want to deny them their opportunity to enter into this debate. I can certainly hold off until next.
So there was not going to be any public comment on this. So but it is true that we did tell them that that he wasn't here. So how would you guys like to proceed?
If I can suggest, this is being recorded so that you can make your comments, and I think that will be helpful for Kate and us, staff, to know what is happening at your level, and whether or not we can address it for the next meeting. So I
In-
don't think it's closed, like we
Yeah.
shouldn't talk about it.
In that case, if you wouldn't mind, since they did indicate an interest in hearing us, if you could just let them know that we did decide to have a conversation about it, despite the fact that Kate wasn't here, so that they can watch the video.
Correct.
It is 7:50, so they can just jump forward to 7:50.
And also, if we're going to hold until Kate's back, I will invite him to come.
If they want, but there was
Yeah.
no public comment on this. It was
Okay.
just going to be
No public comment, okay.
Cade's presentation. But anyway, if you wanted to make a comment for him, go ahead.
Thank you for clearing the path. What I'm interested in is what the city council, whoever empowers us to comment or get involved in this, what our role is in terms of who is going to occupy that space. The what, I'm very much interested in. I understand that that's our role. You know, what are they going to do to the building? How are they going to replace the windows? Things like that. I'm just concerned that this commission might get bogged down in debates about who is going to occupy that space. And if that is supposed to be our intended role, and I understand that it may be important in terms of the long-term success or not success of who takes over that space, so we may need to discuss who. But I think that's an area where I have a little bit of pause, and that could become a slippery slope.
I think that we need to rely on the ordinance itself, that basically the ordinance has the mechanism by which this commission reviews certificate of appropriateness or subdivisions and other actions that require the city council, like nominations for landmarks and appeals and all that. So I believe the intent was that not necessarily who is going to use the building, but what's going to happen to the building. I think that is the proper role of the commission. The question is whether or not city council will take the opportunity to work with the commission, because at the end, we are an arm of the city council. We're doing what the council at the end approves, like designations or appeals. They get our recommendation and they decide. So this is similar but not the same. In the past, we were not involved because there was no certificate of appropriateness application for that process. So I think this is, if the city council and mayor agreed, welcome the commission's offer. I think you can also discuss as a commission what role would you like to do, rather than be put, like I said, in an area that maybe is not the proper role of the commission. So I hope that clarifies. And this is my interpretation of it. So if Kate has other ideas or our director has other ideas, I will ask him to share with you, but I think that would be the proper role, is what happens to the building.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would just agree that, I mean, we have a set standards, and just to keep the discussion to, you know, how the standards are met or not met, you know, I don't think that the commission can weigh in on the occupant of the house. I mean, the ordinance clearly states, you know, that we are only supposed to review certificate of appropriateness, you know. And so if they have a project that they're going to be presenting to city council and want to come to the commission, I mean, the commission can review it like we did for the other that went to the land use commission. You know, they asked for comment on a project that dealt with a landmark. I guess it would be held the same way.
I mean, it's possible that during the conversations with the potential users, there might be some ideas that may impact the exterior of the building. And let's say that there's a conversation before they even apply for a certificate of appropriateness. I think that the commission could benefit of the opportunity to guide a proposal one way or the other, and then maybe they can submit an application that will address those concerns, if any. So I appreciate the fact that you're trying to separate what the function of the commission is and the role of it, and how the memo, maybe can clarify that we are interested in the status of the building in terms of its physical presence, being a landmark, physical condition. Maybe you can clarify the user is the council's call, but maybe we don't need to do that. I'm just speaking out loud right here.
Other thoughts? I mean, it's just a draft, so if you wanted to send him some comments, you could do that too. If there's
I
a
think that would be
particular,
helpful if you have more insight into your concerns or maybe suggestions.
and I think that was the reason why he wanted it on the agenda tonight. Other thoughts? Okay. Well, there's nothing left on the agenda, so I will call this meeting to a close. Adjourn at 7:55 PM.
Thank you so much.